guys. So I am coming on live, and I'm hoping that you guys can see me. So if you can, please let me know in the chat because this is entirely new for me, and I want to make sure that we're all here to get together and that you guys can see me and hear me. Okay. Um, so yeah, I was trying to go online about a half an hour ago, and it didn't work out so well because, as I said, this is a new platform for me. But I wanted to be able to come online and just sit with you guys, work on our works in progress together, drink a nice coffee, whichever one is your favorite. Right now, I have an iced mocha, which is delicious. And I am going to be working on my Yummy Cats business, which is new, and you may have heard me mention it before. So yummycats.com, Yummy with an I, is my new business. It's all these delicious little kitty cats that are based on different ice cream flavors. So today I'm working on making some little cocos. This is the chocolate cat or kitten. And so, yeah, that's what we'll be working on today. Just going to wait and see if some others join in. And again, please let me know in the chat if you guys can see me and if you can hear me okay. I just want to make sure, since this is all brand new for me. So I'm hoping that this is something that we can do more frequently. I think it'll be fun just to kind of keep each other occupied and hang out and crochet together. So I'm gonna get started. I'm working on the head, Coco's head. So I already did my magic ring here, and now I'm gonna start. So I want to know what you guys are working on. So if you are here, go ahead and put it in the chat. Are you a crocheter? Are you a knitter? Do you do paper crafts? What is your hobby? So let's hang out, do some crocheting. I'm trying to make sure that I, stretch my hands and do those self-help sort of things and self-care, because I want this to be my full-time business. And so being able to crochet all the time, I know a long time ago, this was probably, oh my gosh, it's probably been like 14 years now. I was living in Florida with my then boyfriend, now husband, and I was crocheting full time. At the time, and it's actually still open, I had an Etsy shop. It's called Geek Chikarumi. I had some crochet patterns that were based on like my favorite, video games and anime characters and that sort of a thing. And I went full time on doing that because I didn't have a job. And so I was basically just crocheting probably over 8 hours a day. And it didn't take too long before I started getting the pains up in my arms and, the carpal tunnel thing going on. And so I just want to make sure that, because this is really what I want to focus on now, that I'm able to do that without, hurting my arms and hurting my wrists and that sort of thing. So it's always good to make sure that we stop and take breaks and sip our coffees, stretch our wrists, all that fun stuff. So, yeah. I've been crocheting now for, I think, about 15 years. Making my own patterns, probably about 13 years of that. And it's been such a fun journey. I really enjoy crocheting. It's, it's one of those things that's fun to pass the time. It's fun to build things that are three-dimensional, since I always do amigurumis. It's been nice to be able to just make things out of nothing, really. You just have a ball of yarn and a hook and go to town. And so it's really nice to just be creative and, coming up with my own patterns. is something that I'd always wanted to do. And at the time, I would watch all the other crocheters that were on, and was enjoying watching their creativity and doing patterns that other people would make. But eventually, you start to understand what making a pattern takes. You kind of start to understand that, oh, if I increase, it starts to get bigger. If I decrease, it gets smaller. You start building shapes and that sort of a thing. And so it's really just fun to be creative, and you end up having to frog or rip out a lot of the time, until you can get that shape that you really want. But that's all just part of the process. I have so many different notebooks with bits of patterns, and it's very disorganized, which is kind of my middle name. I need to get more organized. It's definitely on my to-do list. In fact, I was just trying to clean my work area. I work actually in our room, in my bedroom. So I have a little space here that sort of blocks off the rest of the room and allows me to have this little cozy space that I can crochet and just kind of be in my own little corner, little couch. I've got one of my cats over here with me as well, and I've got one on the bed behind us, and their boys are always hanging out with me, and they enjoy their spots, and they have their specific spots that they hang out. So I'd love to know where everybody is tuning in from. So if you're here, put it in the chat, say hi, and let me know what you're working on. Let me know what your plans are for the summertime. I know my kids are going to be out tomorrow. Tomorrow's their last day at school, and it's only a tiny day. It only goes till about 11:30 in the morning. They're having a field day, so that'll be fun for them, and then they'll be here being crazy, being loud, creating havoc, all that all that jazz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've been making these little guys pretty frequently here, so for the most part I can do this without having to look at the pattern that I wrote, but sometimes I have to glance. But Coco's nice because he's just one color. He's just chocolate. He's a chocolate ice cream cat. So he's just the chocolate color. And then the only other color he has is his inner ear. He's going to have some little bits of pink in there. But right now I'm not working on the ears. I'm just working on his body. So all I need is brown. And right now I'm doing baubles here. Are you guys like me? Do you usually have a bunch of projects going, or do you just do one at a time? I found out that I actually, as an adult, it's probably something I've had actually, because I don't think it just becomes onset as an adult, but I do have ADHD, and it's definitely one of those things that I'm very good at starting things, not so good at finishing them. And so I'll end up with all these different whips that I've got going. But I'm having to really train myself to just go from start to finish and not do that, because otherwise you don't get anything done. You do a lot, but nothing ever gets completed, which is always the problem. So I am working on those kinds of things on myself, just so that I can get things done. I can make the inventory that I need to, and get all that going, tend to task, which is also kind of why I wanted to come on live, and that way we can work on these things together. sure that we're on here. Oh, that's not it. Let's see. If you guys are here, just go ahead and pop something in the comments, because I just want to make sure that this is working okay. And I'm not too sure if it is. It says that I'm live, but I just can't tell because there's nobody here, so I just want to make sure that we are connected. So let me do this. There's nobody here, so I just want to make sure. Okay. That we are connected. So let me do this. Just testing this out. All right, let's see what happens here. There's nobody here, so I just want to make sure. Okay. That we are connected. Perfect. Okay. I know that it's working. I just tested it myself. So this is definitely going to be a learning curve, you guys, but I appreciate you, being here and hanging out with me. We're just going to hang out for a little while and try to get some things done. So say hi if you're here. Who else is ready for the summer? Not me. I do like the time here where it's quiet. I just have the cats in here with me. The kids are doing their thing at school, all that. And I get my quiet time. Has anyone else ever worked with blanket yarn? So I'm using Bernat blanket yarn. That's what these little guys are going to be made out of. And it's lovely to work with. I'd only ever worked with the acrylic yarns before. So making the amigurumis with acrylic. And they're really great. You can see the stitches, but in a beautiful way. It's just creates a nice structure for your amis and whatnot. But this just feels like you're basically molding a cloud into a stuffed animal. So this is lovely to work with, and I've really been enjoying it. And if you follow me on the other YouTube channel that's for Yummy Cats, you'll have seen the giant Yummy Cat, and he's like yay big. And basically I used the Bernat, it's called extra thick blanket yarn. And it is that. So if this is the regular size, the extra thick is probably about that thick around. It's crazy. And it's fun to work with as well. In fact, the hook, let me see if I have here. This is the hook that I use. Look at that. It's so big, it even has a storage compartment that you could put your other hooks in, I guess, or your stitchy markers and stuff. So, yeah. I did, when I was making him, I started using my hands because the yarn is so thick that it's just crazy to work with. But this tends to be easier for me. I do know that a lot of people do crocheting and knitting with their hands, which is really cool. Maybe I'll get more into that, but I do have to sew the pieces on using my hands. So there's no, at least I've never seen one, that would be pretty nuts. But there's no needle that I've seen, like a yarn needle, that's that big of an eye hole to fit that yarn. So I just use my hands to sew pieces together and whatnot. And also too, because the yarn is so extremely thick, I was worried that little fingers would be able to get into pulling out stuffing and whatnot, and I didn't want that. So I actually got my sewing machine out, which I haven't used in years, and I actually didn't even remember how to use it. So I had to watch YouTube videos to try to use it again. Um, and in fact, I was feeding it the wrong direction. I thought it was my machine that was wrong. It was definitely user error. So I figured it out, and I was like, why is it going backwards? I don't understand why it's going backwards. It's because I was feeding it in backwards. So fixed that. And then I basically made an internal structure ball shape that I stuffed, and that way the stuffing is all enclosed and sewn in using this material that apparently they use. Joann's, when I went and bought it, they said that they use it for like the internal lining on bathing suits. So it's very stretchy, which is nice, and it's going inside of the plushie, so I wasn't too worried about how it looked. It didn't have to be perfect or anything like that, but so I've made two of the giant ones, and the first one I actually sewed it by hand because I was missing parts to my sewing machine. I was missing the foot pedal and the charging cable. I don't know where they are. I know that I'll find them hanging out together somewhere when we go through the house, but I could not find them anywhere. So we bought a new pedal, and I actually found my son's electric scooter used the same kind of plug to go in the outlet for. It wasn't a very long cable, but I was able to actually plug in my sewing machine and have it turn on. So we got that working. But the two big ones, the first one I did all by hand sewing, because I was not patient enough to wait for the pedal to come. And then the second one I did by machine, and oh my gosh, what a difference in how long it took. It was so fast. I built that little inner structure in like, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. I'm not very fast at sewing, but it probably the longest part was actually just cutting the pieces out. It's like you make basically sort of a pointed oval shape, and you cut out 6 of those, and then you sew those together, and so it makes almost like a beach ball. And then you can just stick that inside of the cat, stuff it, and then you can close to finish it off. So it worked out really well. I'm never going back. I'm not hand sewing any of those anymore. It was so much easier on the machine, and it's actually quite fun. Who knows, maybe I'll end up getting into sewing, but I think I have enough hobbies as it is, so I don't want to take on too much. I think that's kind of one of those things that I always end up doing. I see other people doing stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. I could do that. Like working with clay, or knitting or sewing or paper crafts or whatever have you. And so I always think I could do that. And sometimes I do. I'll start, then, you go and you buy a bunch of stuff because you're like, this is going to be so much fun. I'm going to do this. And it is, but you're adding a whole new hobby, basically a whole new craft. And if you already don't have enough time for the one that's your favorite, which for me is crocheting, of course, then you're just sitting there with too many things to do and not enough time. So I have to be careful of doing that. I think that's part of my ADHD too. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. It's going to be so much fun. And it is, but I just have to remember that crocheting is the hobby that I love. I absolutely love the most. It's what I always go back to doing. And it's been my favorite from the get-go. In fact, I did crocheting before even learning to write books and whatnot. So it was certainly my first passion, that's for sure. So far I have, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 bodies for 5 different cocos. So I'm going to finish this one, which is number 6. And then after that, I gotta make the ears. So doing my math, there's 12. I gotta make 12 ears, and then I'm going to work on the face details, stuffing them, closing them up. So that's what I'm working on. So what are you guys working on while we're sitting here chit-chatting? I'm gonna run out of coffee here. I love coffee and tea. I tend to switch to tea though towards the evening. We call them HBs usually, except for that would be a CB for a cold beverage, but we do hot beverages for the most part, except for now it's getting hot, so you know, you gotta switch to cold sometimes. Wonder what's your guys' favorite beverage of choice? What are you drinking? Are you drinking a latte? Are you more of a tea fan or soda, juice? I actually found recently, I was at Dutch Brothers, and I was like, okay, what do I want to have? I normally get a mocha, an iced mocha. And so I was going to get that, but then I felt like something different than I usually get. And my first ever job when I was 14 was working at a coffee shop back in California, where I'm from. And it was just a little small mom and pop cafe called Cafe Adria back in the Bay. And I remember people ordering this drink, and I thought, well, that's interesting, but I didn't think that it would be very good. But this day I decided, okay, I'm just going to go for it. So what I got was a chai. It was an iced chai, but with shots added in. And then I came to find out later when I ordered this at the airport that it's actually called a dirty chai. So, which was hilarious. And so now I like sneakily, I'm like, can I get a dirty chai? It's so good. It's like, it's coffee, obviously, but then the bit of chai that you get in there, it just makes it almost like a festive beverage, like a holiday kind of thing. So yeah, holiday in June. Yeah, why not? So I actually make them at home too. Sometimes I make my dirty chais. So funny. If you've ever had one, you will most likely know what I'm talking about. All right, so now I have done my increase rows. I am building up the head. I live up in Washington State now, it's been actually really nice lately. It's not too hot, quite sunny, but this is the state that rains probably 3/4 of the time. So it's been nice to get the vitamin D and actually have the sun shining and whatnot. So today is a nice day, just in time for the kids to be done with school tomorrow and start the summer break. I do love having them home. It just gets really loud. It's going to be hard to do any kind of live streaming unless we want to have my kids running in and saying hello. Right now we just have my 2 cats in here, Merlin and Arthur. They're sleeping. Do you guys have any sort of animal or anybody that hangs out with you while you're working on your projects? Can let me know in the comments below too. If you're watching the replay of this, just let me know in the comments. I'll read them all and I'll respond to you guys. So this is really just a fun time to hang out and chit chat. I know this is kind of middle of the day, right? People are probably working and whatnot, but starting today, this is actually going to be my full-time gig. So I got laid off yesterday, but that was actually a good thing because I've been working on this Yummy Cats business and I'm really wanting to get this going, my handmade business, and doing what I love, which is obviously to crochet. I love the marketing side of things and, photographing my little kitty cats that I'm making. I plan to do craft events as well, more local craft events. So, just building it up at this point. It's always kind of nerve-wracking when you're starting something new and you're not sure how, the reaction's going to be, but this is definitely a labor of love. They're so much fun to make, these little yummy cats. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, it's yummycats.com. Yummy is with an I. So, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's taken me a couple of months now to get the website up, getting some social media, spots going. So we have a YouTube channel. I've been sharing some reels over there where I show sort of the behind the scenes and the works in progress. And because I'm also a children's book writer and illustrator, I've been also wanting to expand it. And so I have a blog on the yummycats.com, and it's called Yummy Storytime. And so I'm going to be posting little short stories. These characters all have little backstories. They all have names and personalities. And so the first story is already up. It's called Minty and the Case of the Missing Chocolate Chips. And so that's where you're going to start meeting the characters when anybody orders the regular size or the original size of Yummy Cats. They come with little collector's cards, so it'll tell you their name, their backstory, and a little bit about them. And then this story time is really just supposed to be kind of an expansion of that and really get to meet the characters more. And I do plan, this is going to be another learning curve for me, but I do plan to also do some stop motion videos where I'll take the plushies and I'll be able to just make really cute little videos to go along with those story time stories that I write. I have not done the first one yet, but that's on my agenda to figure out next. So I'm excited to get going on that as well, because I really want this to be fun for kids. I want parents to be able to share these with their kiddos and they can have their favorite characters and all that fun stuff. So if you follow over on there, you'll sometimes see my daughter will actually take the characters and she'll act things out with them. So I'm going to post some of those as well because they're really cute. She has little voices for them, and it's a lot of fun. We're having a good time with it. It's become like a family thing, where they have their favorite Yummy Cats, and my son steals one of each because he likes to collect things. So he's stealing them. So it's hard to make inventory when your kids are taking them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So yes, I know where I am. Okay. Yeah. It's so quiet in the house. The cats aren't even snoring right now, which they do sometimes. I also have some stuff that I need to work on for Frizzy Bee as well. So I have another pattern that I wrote the pattern for. It's a frog, Mr. Frog, and he is kind of, well, I made him in acrylic yarn actually, but I was thinking it would be fun to make him in blanket yarn. So I've noticed that it's sort of becoming a trend now where people are wanting to gravitate more towards the softer yarns, which I totally get because they're cuddly, right? And so the acrylic yarns, although they're super cute, they're rough. They're just not really snuggly. You wouldn't really want to give this maybe to a baby. You wouldn't anyways, because it has safety eyes. These are usually for ages 3 and up, just for safety stuff. But yeah, they're just not as cuddly. They're more for just sort of display and enjoying that way. But with these little soft plushies, they're just so cozy and they're just so cuddly, And so my kids will sleep with them at night just because they feel nice to hold on to. So I totally get that. And I'm thinking that I might make the frog in the blanket yarn, and then we'll see how big it comes out, because anytime that you're making something with blanket yarn, you're going to use a bigger hook, so it's going to make it a lot bigger. So the acrylic one is like yay big. So I'm thinking that with the blanket yarn, it's probably going to be a pretty good size frog. So we shall see. We shall see. But frogs are also getting to be pretty popular now. It's interesting to watch the trends and see what people are gravitating towards. And frogs is in right now. Frogs and chickens. I've seen a lot of chickens lately as well, which is was a bit surprising to me. I didn't expect that, but I've seen a lot of chickens that are sort of like little pod shapes that people are making. It was kind of fun to see what things are trending and what people are making and gravitating towards. If you're here and if you're watching, just say hi in the chat so I can see you, and let me know where you're from, and that way we can hang out, chit chat. I tend to have a very tight tension, and sometimes I can't even get my hook through. It's so tight. So let's try this again. Here we go. Sometimes I cannot multitask. I was just saying not that long ago that I can do this without looking, and here I am making a mess up. So we'll try this again. There we go. Getting down to the wire. It's becoming watery. It's okay, it's still coffee. Okay. There we go. So now I get to the point where I can't close it without stuffing it, and I can't stuff it without doing the face. Hi, Erica. Pennsylvania. Wow. All right, so you're after lunchtime. It's 11:26 here in Washington State. So, nice day out. No rain this time around. What are you working on? You have anything you're working on over there? When I'm doing this and I leave, the gaps so that I have space to do the face and then stuff, I try to gauge how long I'm going to need, but there were two, the last set that I made. I was making Minty, which is like the mint chip one, a kitten from the Yummy Cats, and I misgauged. So I think they call it yarn chicken or something like that, and I lost. And so I ended up having to add yarn at the very end. At the very, very end, just to close it up. It felt like such a waste, So I'm trying to be more green. And so I've started to save like all the yarn scraps, because I see a lot of people stuff the plushies with them. But my concern with that was really that they could start coming out. And so what I think I'm going to do is on the giant plushie, on the giant Yummy Cat that I make, that's like the giant one. It has that inner inner lining that I sew, and so I think I'm going to stuff that with the scraps because they're not going to come out, which will be much better. And then I can utilize these scraps, and it's a little less wasteful. So that's the plan. Oh, your daughter's already out of school. Wow. Yeah, my kids are in school today, full day, and then tomorrow they have a field day and it just goes until uh 11:30. It's like 2 hours. They're just going to be outside hanging out, basically running around. So, and then they're done for the summertime. Um so yeah, I would like to do going live, but I think that it might be a little crazy when the kids are here. Maybe I'll just lock them out. You'll just hear them banging on the door. Mom! Oh my goodness. You gotta love kids, but it is tough to multitask sometimes when they're home, especially when they call mom every 2 seconds. You know? Okay, so I've made 6 heads or 6 head bodies because it's together. Now I'm going to work on the ears and then we'll work on the faces after that. So, Erica, are you looking forward to the summertime with the kids home? Yeah. Uh, yeah. I love having them here, but it does mean things have to change, right? Our day-to-days change to be a little bit more flexible so that we can kind of keep them happy and also try to get stuff done around the house. So you're not looking forward to the kids being home. How many kids do you have? My son is 10. He'll be 11 this year, and my daughter is 7. So, yeah, it gets very loud. He gets on his VR, and it's like we're not here right next to him. I can hear him from upstairs. I can hear him just like he's next to me screaming. uh, man, kids. Gotta love them. Okay. 3, but only 1 lives at home. Yeah. How old is the one that's at home? I think because the job that I do is so fun and it's so kid friendly. My daughter especially, she tends to want to hang out with me and be in my little space that I have, and it's a very small space, so I can probably show you here. This is sort of my little station. That's a new thing that I got in that box is going to be these little buttons that I'm going to make. So, but there's one of my cats. You can say hi to Merlin. This is just a ball right there. He's hanging out. But yeah, so this is my tiny little space, and my daughter still tries to get in here with me, and I get claustrophobic as an adult. So I have a really hard time, like, already in a confined space. Okay, if like this has enough room to breathe, but if you add another whole body in here, there's no room to move around, and you can't hardly even spin the chair. So that becomes a little bit nerve-wracking for me. Your oldest is 25, a 20-year-old, and a 14-year-old. Yeah, cute kitty. Yes, he's a lump. Do you have any cats at home or any pets? To change colors here just for a brief bit to get that inner ear color. You have 3 cats. My husband and I got together, we had 4 between us. That was a lot of cat, but we didn't have any kids at the time, and so it was okay. They were our kids. But man, when you have cats and kids, then it gets a little crazy. All right, the ears are so tiny. They don't take very long to make up, but see, they're just little triangles with just a little pop of an inner ear color. What do you normally like to make, Erica? Do you make amigurumis, or are you into making blankets or clothes, or what do you normally crochet? Add to my scrap pile. When the cats are sleeping, just let them be. Yep, I know. I always think of, was it Elvira, the little girl that was in, I think it was Looney Tunes, where it's like, I'm gonna hug you and squeeze you and love you and all kinds of crochet. You do all kinds of crochet. That's awesome. Very cool. Do you knit as well, or do you stick with crocheting? It seems like people tend to be one or the other. You know, those that knit don't understand how to crochet, and those that crochet have a hard time knitting. You know, I can knit, but I'm not great. I'm not great at knitting. But I have made a couple things. I've made like a knitted cowl hood, fox hood thing, and it came out. And I made one as a wolf and one was a fox, so just based on the colors and stuff. And it came out cute, but that was using like the two knitting hooks that are connected, so kind of like a blanket, what they should make a blanket on. And so that is always easier for me than having to turn it around and everything. But the thing I don't care for about knitting is that you can't, you can frog, you can rip out really easily with crochet, and you don't really lose your place very easily. It's easy to do. With knitting, if you drop a stitch, it's very difficult to find it and fix it. So I need things that are a little bit more forgiving. Uh, yeah, just crocheting. Me too. I'm going to stick with crocheting. And then I'll do a little sewing because I got to make the inner lining for the giant yummy cat that I have. But other than that, I'm going to stick with what I know and stick with what I'm good at. So since your daughter is home, what are you doing? Just hanging out, or you got something else going on? Are you multitasking? I'm thinking of taking the Yummy Cats and actually doing some craft shows that are local. Um, I haven't done a craft show in quite some time. I did one. So this was Ink and Stitches was my original brand, and then I've switched it to Frizzy Bee just because I'm actually a big fan of bees. I think they're really cute. You can kind of see where am I? You can see my daughter's was really into Minecraft, and so I kind of stole some of the bees. There they are. And then the kids got me super into Bee Swarm Simulator, which is a Roblox game. I'm not playing it now because I have so much to do, but I got pretty good at that game. So that's a little bear that's from that game. Um, but yeah, I love bees. And so that's kind of what sparked Frizzy Bee. And I've got so many different things that I enjoy doing, so many hobbies. I kind of just feel like a bee buzzing around doing all these different things. And I like to tell my husband I like to cross pollinate. I like to try to, meld my hobbies together, which is why the Yummy Cats has the Yummy Story Time, because I like to write and I like to tell stories. I like to illustrate, so I do some drawings for those as well. So I like to find ways to sort of mix all of my passions and my hobbies to something that's new, something that's different, and bring people along for the ride. I'm really needing to spend some time. I have a book series that I've written the first two books. I've illustrated them. It's a Tales of Whimsy series. It's about this little orb weaver spider. And the first two books are out. And I need to get the third book finished, and I'm almost done writing it. So I need to finish that one, and then I need to do all the illustrations for it as well. And so now that I'm no longer having my 9 to 5 job, just starting today actually, I have a lot more time, which means I'm going to try to get the Frizzy Bee, going live, doing more things here as well. My Frizzy Bee blog, I want to work on some more, and then I want to get the Yummy Cats business off the ground. But I also want to finish the third and final book in this trilogy, the Tales of Whimsy trilogy. So I have a lot going on that I need to get done. And, it's been very difficult when you have a 9 to 5 to really get all of these things completed and hobbies done and, work on the things you're passionate about. And so now that I don't have that, I'm very happy to be able to spend the time that I do have on the things that are my passions and that I enjoy doing. So I'm very excited. That's why I wanted to go live today and just kind of hang out, and see if this is something that we want to do more often. Then we can just kind of hang out and chit chat and work on our crochet projects and say hi and keep each other focused in getting things done, because it's fun. Crochet is it's a hobby, but it's a very lonely hobby unless you like doing things on your own all the time, which I usually do, but it's nice to have other people to chat with. So this is something different. Kind of wanted to build like a little community here where we can just hang out and chit chat and work on stuff and get stuff done. And of course have something yummy to drink while we're doing that. Okay, so I've got 2 ears made. I only have, 10 more to go. I think it's easier, I think instead of making something from start to finish, just to have like assembly line it. And so I'm testing things out just to see which is best to do and more productive. Make a bunch of heads, make a bunch of ears, make a bunch of faces, stuff them all, sew them all up, and just kind of like get into that sort of habit instead of going from start to finish. It just seems like this would be the best way to go. So I made 6 minty kittens yesterday or day before yesterday, and then today I'm working on 6 Cocos. So we'll get the chocolate kitty cats going. Start building it all up here. Building up my inventory. They're going to be made to order, but hopefully, it's one of those things that if I can keep up with it, then I'll have stuff on hand. But if it gets to be too crazy, then I'm giving myself a little bit of a leeway to have some time to make it for my customers. And so far my shop is actually on Shopify, but I'm thinking on if I should bother with making an Etsy shop or not. There's so much that goes back and forth about Etsy. The fees are so high, and so that's kind of the deterrent. So I was hoping if I could just completely brand myself and have my own website, and try to get that going, that might be the best bet. But the nice thing about Etsy is that you get the traffic from Etsy. So Etsy is really good at, so many people go there to find handmade things. So you're kind of paying for that. You're paying for that exposure. So I might make a shop on there. Do you have any opinion on that, Erica? I'm not too sure. I keep going back and forth about it. But I do have my other shops on Etsy, and so and it has helped. It has been really good, like the Frizzy Bee shops over there where I sell my patterns, and I may start selling plushies over there as well. I might open that up again, which I haven't done in years. But now that I have the time, I can actually make things for people, then I might go ahead and do that. Because I know my Happy Sunflower was always one that people were super excited about. And that's actually the one years and years ago when I lived back in Florida and I was full-time crocheting. The Happy Sunflower was always my biggest seller. So many people loved that. And they would buy the plushies from me. So I'd be making, 5, 6 sunflowers at a time, swimming in petals, and it was a lot of fun. It started to hurt my arms and stuff, but it was a lot of fun, and people really were enjoying getting those. So yeah, it's the nice thing about Etsy, really. I mean, it's a marketplace, right? So the only kind of downside to Etsy is that people go on there to find things that are handmade, but Etsy's trying to make their money and they're trying to make business. So they'll start telling you, oh, well, if you like this, you might like this, and it's always taking away from the handmade business to show somebody else's business. So, it's a toss up. It's a give and take. But it is really good for the exposure. So if anything else, I think that might be worth doing, because I think that's the biggest issue for handmade businesses, is just getting eyes on the products, regardless of what it is. I think so many people worry about pricing and everything else, but it's really just trying to get that exposure and trying to get people to see your stuff. And that's so hard to do. I've actually been taking a course by May Pack, and it's called, what is it called? She's from the Creative Hive. It's called A Sale a Day. That's what it's called. And so she's actually very much against going Etsy. She says, get your own brand, get your own website, do that. And then her big thing is to find influencers who already have a big, reach out there, and just have them, promote your thing. So sending them plushies, having them talk about them to their channels and to their following and that sort of thing, just to really get the word out there. So you kind of piggyback on their exposure that they have, because, for most of us that like to crochet or like to do things handmade, the social media side of things is like the part that's dreaded. You just love to be creative, and this is fun. We get to chit chat and we get to hang out and create and do all of that. But influencers, that's what their niche is. That's what they're good at. They're super good at just being out there in the limelight and, putting themselves out there, being in front of the camera. And that's how they make their income, is through promoting other businesses, or, they get deals with companies, that sort of a thing. And so it's kind of, to me, it makes sense that be a better way to go, because it's hard. It's hard to get eyes on your products when you are the one that's doing the handmade stuff. It's not an easy thing, but, there's got to be good ways to get your stuff out there. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my next big hurdle. Reach out to influencers, get the word out there. Most of the people that follow me here on Frizzy Bee are here because they love to crochet. They like to see the patterns and that sort of thing. And so that's why I want to just come on here, and that's what we like to do, right? We like to be crafty together. So I want to do the crafting side here, and then I'll have my Yummy Cats as my business side, and I'll share different things on the Yummy Cats channel, where we'll, just work on stuff and then see the background side of things, meet the characters, that kind of a thing. But this is just like my fun hangout session with my fellow creatives that like to crochet like I do. Changing colors. colors. Nope, not yet. This is multitasking. Not very well. Okay, I know where I am. I know where I am. Here we go. Now I'm getting the color. I'm changing it up. Here we go. Erica, do you have a 9 to 5 as well? Or do you get to just do the things that you're passionate about at home? Also, have you ever worked with blanket yarn? The fluff, it's like, it gets everywhere. It's crazy. I actually did a reel for my other channel. It's like snow. It just, it's just everywhere. It's funny. But like, you can also sometimes, I don't know why it does it sometimes, but like sometimes when you start pulling on the end, it just starts to come apart. It's fine once it's crocheted in. Oh, stay-at-home mom. Awesome. Yeah, see, now it's not doing it. But yeah, sometimes you start pulling on it and it just starts to kind of like just pull apart. But like I said, once you get it all knotted in and you've crocheted it, it's fine. It's just the very tail ends that start doing that, which is why I started using these giant eyed needles, because if you try to squeeze it through a thinner one and you start trying to pull it, that's when it starts doing that, and it's very annoying. So like this, where's my camera? These ones are too small. The standard yarn needles are too small, so I like these giant ones. That's what I'm using. So Erica, do you make your own patterns, or do you like to work off of other people's patterns? What kind of things do you make? I'm getting more yarn ends to throw into a giant one some point. My son has requested a giant blue cat. I can show you the big giant cat if you want. Actually, hang on a second. He's right over here. Okay, here we go. That's the giant yummy cat. This is Mel, the caramel cat. So yes, he's like a beach ball. He's actually quite heavy too, but he's got an inner lining so that the stuffing can't come out. And he's a big guy. So yeah, I've made two. I've made Mel, and then I made my mom one actually for her birthday recently, and it's sort of a teal color. But my son wants a blue one, so I've got the blue yarn for that. And then, of course, my daughter is going to want one, so she wants a pink one. So I've got yarn for that as well. Except for I thought I had another skein. So those big ones, the giant cats take 1.5 of the extra thick Bernat blanket yarn. So, so in yarn alone, it's like $40. To make these guys, but yeah, so I thought I had the right pink color, and I thought, oh cool, I must have at least enough to do the other, it's a skein and a half, so I just bought one. Of course I misgauged the color, which means I need to go buy more yarn, which darn, hate that. I think I've spent more in yarn in the last month than I have in the last 15 years. Oh my gosh, so you've been crocheting just a couple months. Oh, are you loving it? I remember that in the beginning when, the tension is always difficult. No two come out the same size, and you're just trying to get the hang of it. I have the first ever thing that I ever made was this koala. It was It was a free well, it wasn't really free. It was the pattern that was at the back of a how to crochet book, that I got at Michael's, and it was it was bad. You could see the stuffing through the nose. The nose was black, so you could see the stuffing through it, the white stuffing. And yeah, it was a bit of a mess. And it was so funny because I didn't like it, but you made it. So then what are you going to do with it? So, um, when I ended up getting better and better, and then I started actually doing some craft fairs at like my old high school that I went to back in California. Um, they had like a, donate something for the raffle. And so I got rid of it that way because I didn't want it anymore. Oh, it was bad. I mean, it was okay, but it certainly could have been a lot better, you know. And then actually it was funny because so the I didn't realize at first, but for quite a few projects, probably even 6 months to a year, the first 6 months to a year of me crocheting, I was actually doing it inside out, which I guess it could be personal preference, but I noticed that mine weren't looking like other people's, and I couldn't figure out why. And so I finally realized that I was doing so I had the wrong side out, right? Or basically, I'm trying to think if I can show you. Let's see. This one's kind of hard to tell. This is my crochet doll Adeline from a children's book story that I wrote. But this is right side out. So this is correct. But you can kind of see, this is acrylic yarn. You can see the rows really well, right? And you can really see the stitching as well. But if you are doing things inside out, you can't see the rows as much. It's softer. It's a softer look, right? So the stitches aren't as noticeable. The rows aren't as noticeable. And it's really just a personal preference, I think. But yeah, I started noticing why theirs look different, and then I guess I just flipped it over and realized, oh, I was putting the inside on the outside. So that was kind of my realization there. And then I had to figure out how to hold it differently so that wasn't the case, so that I wasn't doing that. So it was a learning curve for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Have you made any huge mistakes or things that you kind of came to realize, Erica, that you were doing wrong at the get-go? It's hard, you watch lots of videos, YouTube videos, you watch other crocheters doing their craft. Originally, my mom had taught me a long time ago, but they had books. They had the old school books that were hand drawn, all the stitches, everything. And so it was really hard to tell based on the drawing what I was seeing. And so seeing it photographed was much easier. So it's definitely, I feel like crochet's come a long way, and it's not, it's like not the old school crochet, and there's nothing wrong with the old school crochet, making doilies. I mean, in fact, crochet used to start with making fishing nets and whatnot. So it's really interesting how it's evolved through the years and the decades. But it's just so cool, that we've started to actually make plushies out of it. And I think it originated in Japan, since amigurumi is a Japanese word for crocheting in the round. But yeah, I think it's just an interesting progression, of where crochet has come over the decades and centuries. Anyway, here we go. Let's see, how many ears have I made? I've been talking. I think I've only made the 2 still. Okay, I'm on the 3rd. Not as productive as I would like, but that's okay. We're chit-chatting, so it's fun. This is fun to do. Here we go. I like to tie them off on the inside just to make sure that nothing is going to come loose. And I will trim it away. Most of the time I would tuck these ends in, but because the ears, I don't stuff the ears, so I don't want them to be too thick. And so if I stuck that in there, then they would be way too thick, and that wouldn't work. So they're really just supposed to be the thickness of, you basically crochet them in the round and then you just flatten them and that's it. So that way they're just the thickness of the two sides together. Do you have any beverage over there, Erica? Anything, your favorite thing to have while you're crocheting? I found, so I tend to like to do there's magic ring and then there's double magic ring. And I tend to use the double magic ring, or I always have with the acrylic yarns. But I found it really, really hard to do that with this blanket yarn because it's thick, and also you have to pull it tightly. And if you pull too tightly, sometimes, depending on I'm not really sure what it's dependent on, but sometimes it will actually snap the yarn. And so I usually just do the standard magic ring, and that works out just fine. And it's so plushy that even if there was any kind of gap, you wouldn't see it. So this is just the standard, but you can't see any holes there because it's so fuzzy, which is just lovely. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Yes, that's delicious. I like those too. It's weird when you go from the Pepsi Zero or the Coke Zero and then you go to the full sugar again. It's like no bueno. I like the zero sugar better. Much better. Changing colors. Oops. These are such quick little ears. They really don't take any time to put together. Erica, what's your favorite yarn to work with? Do you have one? I'm starting to like the blanket yarn the best. I was always an acrylic yarn user. Just because I like the sturdiness of the amigurumis when you make them with acrylic yarn. It's not soft by any means though. Cotton is softer, and I do like cotton, but I feel like you can kind of see the holes and the gaps in between the stitches more. So I do tend to go more for the acrylic in that case. But I do actually, I don't know if you've ever tried this, Erica, and it's very difficult. But so you can crochet with thread. So I made this little, he's a little goblin character from a Korean drama. I'm really huge into Korean dramas. I watch them every night. But he is a little character from one of them. He's a tokebi, and I probably saying that wrong. But anyways, it's made with, it's called pearl I want to say pearl is the brand, but it's a thread, and you're actually using a lace needle, or a lace crochet hook rather, and it's so sharp, the crochet hook, because it's so fine. And I've actually jabbed myself with it before. It was really bad when I was making one of these. So I made this guy, and I've made, there's a gal that crochets, and I'll put their handle in the comments below. But she makes these really cute little characters, little dolls and stuff, and they're all minis. So she has tons, but I've done the Coraline, and I did a Wednesday Addams, for my daughter, and they were so cute. And so I think I'm actually planning to make the Yummy Cats. I want to see with that yarn, or with that really tiny hook, and with the thread, how small they're going to come out. That's kind of the fun of it, right? Because the giant Yummy Cat, it's the same pattern, but a huge hook and huge yarn, and so that can alter the size of your character, right? The hook size, the yarn thickness, will change the sizing of it. So I'm curious to see what using the thread is gonna look like. In fact, hang on, just to show you, this is the thread. This is the pearl thread. So it's just almost like embroidery thread, but you'll kind of notice it's got little grooves, almost like it's been twisted together. And yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that. It's a huge learning curve completely. I didn't think I'd be able to do it either. Sorry, my nose is itching from all the plush. It's like flying in the air. But yeah, that was another one of those things where I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy. I mean, it's still crocheting, but I bought tons of different colors. So I do want to make some things that are teeny tiny, because I love little things. I collect little things. In fact, you can probably see, I do those DIY book nooks. They're like miniature sort of things, and you put together. So I've got quite a few around that I've done, and I do sometimes work on them with my dad. And they're a lot of fun, but sometimes it's like they're so tiny that, I don't know, I feel like my hands as I get older, they don't work the same way that they used to, and so sometimes I have a hard time actually getting to those little intricate bits, especially when it's paper and you're actually just folding the paper to make little teeny tiny things. It can get annoying, to say the least. They're so pretty though, especially when you turn the lights on. We actually, at our mall that we have nearby, they have a shop. I can't remember the name of it, but that's what they sell, is all those little DIY book nooks, and they built them, and they're all connected on some sort of a switchboard so that they can get them all running, and they're not powered on battery. And so I need to find a way to hotwire them together, because right now they're all battery powered, and so it makes it really, really tough, because you're just wasting battery, right? You can't just keep them on, and I want to just be able to have them on whenever I want to, without having to worry about, battery life and stuff like that. So I got to figure out how to hotwire the wires together so I can just plug them in and have them on. But I have two other kits that I have that I need to work on, but one of them has got a lot of the paper folding, and so sort of went to the wayside. It's not easy, but it's just another fun little project to do, passes the time. Some people build Legos, some people build little baby book nooks. We have this, it's a little bookstore. It's really, really cute. Little family-owned bookstore, and within their shelves, I saw a book nook lit up in there. That's actually what made me find those and get interested in them, was just seeing that. It was just like this little world between books. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I gotta build one. So that was my ask for Christmas. Got it, and took me about 3 to 4 days to build the first one, which was this one, the Sakura It's a sakura blossom one. It's really pretty. But yeah, it took me about 3 or 4 days. Did that one by myself. I got to figure out how to do inner wiring on things. I'd never done that before, so that was fun. Um, so I don't know. I feel like when you're crafty and you like to do arts and crafts, it's hard not to want to, take on these little projects when you see them coming around. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything. Like I got interested in actually for so this was for I think this was for one of my kids had a birthday party and I it was a Minecraft theme. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to do a craft at their birthdays and then I also like to create something that I give away as goodies. So I did perler beads and I don't know if you remember these, Erica, but as a kid we used to do them. They were always flat. And so I saw that they did 3-dimensional perler bead characters. And so I had to do that. So I bought all the stuff and I made a whole bunch of different characters. I made the bees, of course, because I love bees. And then I made like these they're like little cats. I did little chickens. I did a bunch of different characters and they were a lot of fun, but it made me realize that this was going to be way too difficult of a project to do with a bunch of kids because they don't have the ability to sit and just focus on something for a long duration of time. So generally projects we do involve like painting or drawing or something like that because they tend to stick with it and stuff. But I figured, you know what, I'm just going to make these for them. And then I included like a little kit they could take home if they wanted to. But there was no way I was going to get, 12 kids sitting there making a 3-dimensional perler bead Minecraft character. So I gave up on that dream. Okay, changing colors here, changing colors. All right, why aren't you working with me? Come on, come on. There we go. The back loop did not want to come with the front loop. There we go. All right, we're good. We're good. There we go. One more ear done. Let me see how many I have now. All right, here's one set. So we need 6 sets. So I've got 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets. I'm on the 4th set. Making progress. Making progress. All right, here's one. Joann's had a huge sale recently on their blanket yarn, and I ended up picking up quite a bit. I think I spent I think it was originally like $130, but then I got a bunch of discounts and stuff, so it ended up being like $80. That was a good steal. I found a lot of, this is Dough, he's the cookie dough cat, and this color was on sale for $6 and change. And they usually run, I want to say they're like $12-ish a skein, and then generally the sale will get it for $7.99 or $8.99. So to find it for 6 and some change, I was like, okay, yes. Let me just grab those while I have them here. My only concern is that they're going to say that they are discontinuing that color, which will suck. But I may just have to find one that's similar if I can't find that same color. But hopefully they were just trying to get rid of some inventory. And they weren't actually discontinuing that color because I like that color. We'll probably hang out here for another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll sign off and have some lunchtime around here. So you're getting into the afternoon over there, but Erica, stop for lunch. Where's my other color? Here we go. If you're tuning in, let me know, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? I've got 8 flavors so far on my Yummy Cats shop that I've picked out, and I have other ones in the works, but I'm wondering what everybody's favorite ice cream flavor is so I can make sure that I get those in there. The next ones I'm going to be doing are actually, I'm going to do a strawberry shortcake, which is going to be, daughter's bugging for food. That sounds like my daughter. Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm hungry. I'm like, you just ate a thing of noodles. How can you be hungry? I don't know. I think they have multiple stomachs. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm going to do strawberry shortcake. I'm going to do, so we did Mel the Giant caramel cat, but I'm going to do caramel. My son's favorite ice cream is vanilla bean. So we're going to do vanilla bean. And he wants the name to be Beanie. So we'll go with that. Neapolitan, that one's coming. Pistachio is coming. Rocky Road is coming. Let me think. Rocky Road is also going to be deluxe, and he's going to come with a marshmallow guitar. So that's going to be fun. So the deluxe cats that I have, they each come with something. And so that's what makes them deluxe. So they have 2 different things. So for example, this is Sprinkle. Sprinkle is the birthday cake cat. So she comes with a party hat that is removable. So it's like an elastic yarn party hat. And the big one of Sprinkle, the party hat has a little face, and its name is Patty. So it's Patty the party hat. So, your favorite's chocolate. That's where Coco comes in. So Coco's the chocolate cat. So we've got chocolate for you. We've got Nanner's banana split. So he's got his little cherry, her little cherry on her head. And she's got a strawberry ear and a chocolate ear. And then the banana color. This one, so I had to do a black cat. And so I came up with Star. Star is the black cat, but Star is named Star because black licorice, which is a flavor of ice cream, it's one of my mom's favorites actually, and it's very hard to find. But black licorice is actually often made using star anise, which is a spice, and so that's where the name Star came from. And then obviously we've got Doe, so this is the baby Doe, kitten Doe, and then he turned into the big one. And then we've got Terry Tripleberry. So there's Terry Tripleberry. So yeah, what else do we have coming? Let me think. I'm trying to think of the yarns that I bought. Cookies and Cream is coming. So Cookies and Cream is going to come. It will have, I think it's going to have like the sort of an Oreo type cookie on its head. So it will come with an Oreo cookie pal if you get the bigger ones. The little ones will probably just have the little mini cookie on their heads. And eventually, so it's starting off, Yummy Cats is starting off with ice cream. And I'm going to do tons of different ice cream flavors. And then eventually, Yummy is really supposed to encompass food in general. So I would like to do other collections. So we're going to do like a farmer's market collection. And so that'll have fruit and vegetable cats. There can even be, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'll do this or not, but I'm thinking of doing like a flower shop. So it's just kind of like yummy doesn't always have to be food related. It could be smells yummy, you know, that kind of thing. So I was thinking of a floral shop series of cats as well. So if you have any other ideas, let me know in the comments. But those were the sort of the 3 collections I came up with to start with. But so far, we're sticking with ice cream, and we're going to expand that, and then we'll go from there. Everybody, well, not everybody likes ice cream. Most people like ice cream, though. I love ice cream. I may even do popsicles, too. We thought about doing some popsicles, like having the, you know, I remember growing up, we had the rocket pops, with the red, white, and blue rocket colors, and then like the missiles that were that sort of swirly orangey color. So we may do some of those kinds of things, or like ice cream sandwich, that kind of stuff. So there's lots of possibilities. Lots of possibilities. It's just fun. Something fun, you know? Especially if you like cats like we do. We're big cat fans over here. My son was super afraid. He's still kind of afraid of dogs. He's getting better, though, as he gets older. But he got nipped by a dog when he was younger. And so I think that's what kind of freaked him out about dogs. So he's always been very adamant that cats are the best. And so, of course, you know, I made oh my God, I can't even talk anymore. Hang on, I'm going to drink some coffee. So, when I originally made these cats, you might have noticed on the banner of Frizzy Bee, there was a series of 4 of them. So they were going to just be kits that I started offering, like crochet kits. And as I was making them, I started thinking, oh my gosh, they look like ice cream, like the shape of them, because they're kind of like, at first I was thinking like a pork bun, but they look like a scoop of ice cream, the shape that I did. And, you know, these are almost like the little drips of ice cream. So, you know, I just thought, oh, they're like an ice cream cat. This looks like cookie dough. And as I started thinking those things, and then we came up with some names and whatnot, I just thought, you know what, this would be a really fun business to start and to make as a fun handmade brand, all surrounding cats. We love cats. We love ice cream around here. So we just sort of went to town with it. It's been so much fun. And, you know, the job that I actually am no longer at was being a sales and marketing manager for a winery. And so I get to do, you know, all the marketing sort of a thing. It's fun though, because now I get to sort of mix my ability to do, you know, graphic design and marketing with my handmade side. So as I was saying about cross-pollination, since we like bees around here, I get to do a little bit of everything, which is a lot of fun. So now it's just about getting the word out there, letting people know that the Yummy Cats exists, and, you know, that you can kind of hang out here with me on Frizzy Bee, and I'm going to be working on the Yummy Cats business. If I open up the shop on Etsy again, to having my other crocheted stuff, so like my Happy Sunflower, that kind of thing, I'm going to work on those here too. And yeah, I just think it's fun. It's nice to just hang out and chit chat. They are still cute. Oh, thank you, Erica. Thank you. Or are you talking about the dogs? Dogs are still cute. Dogs are still cute, yes. I want one of these. One of my favorite K-dramas is called Dodo Soso Lala Sol. And the gal in it has this dog. It's a miniature white Pomeranian, and she dresses it up in like little apple hoods and stuff. It's so cute. It's like a little teddy bear. So I think if I ever got a dog, I would want one like that, because it's just too cute. It looks like a stuffed animal that's alive. So that's, yeah. And I think because I think it would actually be smaller than my cats. My cats are pretty good size. I don't know if they're Maine Coons, but we get the line cuts on them, so they might have some Maine Coon in them, but they're very large cats. I think that dog would be smaller, so I don't think that they would feel threatened by it. And I could crochet hats. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. I should make a Yummy Cats ear like hat for it that ties and turn it into like a little Yummy Cat dog. Oh, it would be cuteness overload. Definitely need to do some reels on that. I love seeing those ones. They have a lot of reels now where people are doing this test. I think I should do this on Merlin and Arthur, our two cats, where you stick your hand in and then somebody else sticks their hand in, and then the cat or the dog, in theory, will stick their paw on top. It's like an all-in sort of thing. So I think that this needs to be tried. We need to do this. Have you tried that, Eric? Have you seen that? Have you seen them doing that? I just recently saw they're doing that with dogs. They'd always done that with cats and the ones I was looking at before, but they're starting to add dogs to the mix, and it seems like it still works. I think the reason they do that is because they think that you have a treat. That's my guess. I think that's why they put their paw there. But who knows? Who knows? But it's pretty consistent that they're getting their pets to do that. So, oh, you haven't seen those yet? Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like they do a test on the reel to see if their pet will do it, and 9 times out of 10, it seems like they do. I've seen one dog put his head on the hands instead of the paw. It's like, okay, this is for my head. It's too funny. Cats are funny though. I see lots of cat shorts and cat videos where they're extremely mischievous and they're knocking everything down. Luckily, knock wood, my cats have not done that, but I've seen some pretty crazy cats out there. Are your cats mischievous, Erica, or are they pretty tame? When my husband and I first got together, we had 4 cats between us. He had 3, I had 1. And so he had 2 girls, I had a boy, and he had a boy as well. So 2 girls and 2 boys. And the girls were not huge fans of each other. I mean, they didn't fight, but you could just tell they weren't in each other's like friend zone, you know? So there was one day, this was in an apartment that we lived in, and the screen, so the window was open, the screen was gone, right? We're in the 2nd floor, mind you. So the screen is gone. It had fallen down to the 1st floor. And one of our cats, our little black and white cat who's always been nuts, her name is Delilah. So Dee Dee was nowhere to be found, and she's good at hiding, so we thought maybe she was hiding, but we couldn't find her anywhere. And so we finally figured that most likely what happened was Jessie, the other girl cat, probably was chasing her around and chased her up next to that screen. And this is like become my fear with kids and these screens. They can pop out way too easily. So I think we joke about it. It's possible that this happened. It's possible it didn't. But one way or another, the screen got pushed on and Dee Dee fell out of it. So we couldn't find Dee Dee for, it was over a month actually. I came home and we saw this sort of dirty looking whitish, blackish cat in the distance. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's Delilah. I think that's her. She's hung around the area because we couldn't find her anywhere. So we started leaving food out, and eventually we had a humane, like a cat trap. And so we ended up trapping her the first night with food. And the poor thing, her elbow had broken on that fall that she had taken, but because it had been so long, their bodies actually start to try to heal themselves, and so it starts to create like a cartilage around the break. And basically the vet had said that they weren't sure if she would be able to keep the limb. It depended on if she kept using it and was able to use it. And she did. She didn't walk as gracefully as before, but she was able to use it and it was okay. But it was pretty scary. It was crazy that the poor thing got knocked out of the second floor, broke her elbow, and then survived, for a month and a half out. She's an indoor cat. We only have indoor cats. And so she managed to survive it. But this is the cat that we swear had. She's passed now. But yeah, she went through her 9 lives, that girl. Oh my gosh. She was not the smartest cat. Many times she's had run-ins. She almost got left behind in that same apartment because we couldn't find her on moving day. We finally found her shoved inside of a cupboard because she could used her paw, got inside of the cupboard and shoved herself into this little hidey space. And we luckily found her before we actually had to vacate and move to our new apartment. But not the smartest girl, but you know what? We loved her to death. She was crazy. Your girl cat is the good one. The 2 boys, they like to destroy stuff. Are they like the cats where they'll see, coffee and then they're like, they start knocking things off the counter and just everywhere? We don't have that, but one of my cats, so Arthur, not the black cat that I showed, but Arthur, who's on the bed behind this bookcase, he's kind of like a kid inside of a cat's body, and he's very much of a clodhopper. Like he's not coordinated, and he doesn't know how big he is either. And so he just sort of like, he'll start walking on the counter and things just get knocked. He's not intentionally doing that, but he's a mess. Like he's just not coordinated at all. And so he'll knock things down and we'll find things on the floor, not because he pawed them, but because his belly like did a hip check and knocked it down that way. So he's pretty funny. Oh, your black cat's a girl. Aw, what other colors do you have for your other 2? So yeah, Merlin that you saw, he's a tuxedo. So he's black with the white chest and white paws. And then Arthur he's white, but he has browns, and he actually has a light brown spot on his nose. And we always joke it looks like he got into the peanut butter jar because it looks like he got peanut butter on his mouth. It's really cute. So yeah, he's different shades of brown and white, and they're both long hair. So we get line cuts on them because otherwise you get mats and other stuff going on with long-haired cats. So they're due, I think. Again, their hair grows so fast. White and gray. Boys are the boys are twins? How do they know if they're twins? Just because of the colors, you mean? I'm curious now. How do you know if cats are twins? That's cool. My son keeps asking for another cat. He's like, Mom, you used to have 5. I said, we never had 5. We had 4. And 4 was a lot of cat, and we did not have 2 kids at the time. So the thought of getting another cat, I love our cats to death, and they're such sweet boys, and they're very good with each other. But we ended up between the 2, so we got Merlin first, and then before we found Arthur, we had, they were born at the same time. Gotcha. So before we got Arthur, we had adopted this gray kitten, or not a kitten, she was a cat. So her name is Claire, and she was super cute, super sweet with people. She did not like Merlin. Merlin was not aggressive, nothing. She just did not like him and didn't want to be around him. And so what she would do is she would be super destructive. She would pee on everywhere that he usually liked to lay. In fact, she even did that and pooped we had clean clothes in our dryer, and the door was slightly ajar, and she went in there and on top of them. So yeah. And the final straw was she peed all over my daughter's pillow and down the side of her bed. You know, we tried, and it was bad. It was bad. Like, she peed all over. We had those things. It was like a chair that you make that it's got a zipper, and you stuff stuffed animals into it. So you're done with the stuffed animal, but you reutilize it as like almost like a beanbag chair, but it's a stuffed animal chair all over it. So yeah, it was a mess. So anyway, she ended up going back to the Furry Friends Washington, and then she got adopted. We just suggested she needed to be in a house that didn't have other cats because she had issues with the other cat. And so she got adopted by somebody that was just like an older couple that didn't have any other pets, and it was perfect for her. Because she's a super sweet girl. That was really her only issue, but that was something, you know, I'm sure you know, Erica. It's like you have multiple kids, and it's a lot to take care of. So having a cat that is going to do that all the time is just not sustainable, you know. So she got adopted by somebody else, and then we found Arthur when he was a kitten, and he is such a ham. He reminds me of this cat that we had, Joshua, who was like a dog trapped in a cat's body. Like, he'll lay on his back and just sort of, you know, just spread eagle splay, just sleeping like that, you know. In fact, sometimes he'll sit up like a person, his back feet hanging out, and he's just looking around. It's just so funny. Cats are so funny. So I'm pretty sure he was a dog in another life. Anyways, well, it's about 12:34, so I think I'm going to sign off. It's been lovely chatting with you, Erica. I hope that if I do some more lives that you'll come on and hang out again. It was great chatting with you this whole time. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thanks for hanging out, having a drink with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.